Hey everyone, thanks for joining us this evening. We're here for the 2022 U.S. Rowing Summer National Championships Coaches and Coxswains meeting. If we can go to the next slide. Today, we're going to go over a welcome and just introduce everybody that's on this call. We'll review the registration and venue schedule. We'll go over the U.S. Rowing Code of Conduct and review safe sport necessities for this event. Then I'll go ahead and pass it off of our dual chief referees, Nicola and Rachel Lemieux. Then we'll talk about traffic pattern, U.S. Rowing rules of rowing, discuss on the water rules, racing, finish, and then finally unsportsmanlike conduct. We'll also introduce our LOC and talk about safety and venue, water and land evacuation plans and where the medical aid will be. One note before we move forward, if you do have any questions, please go ahead and put those in the Q&A and we'll get to them at the end of the presentation. So like I said, we're here for the Summer Nationals Coaches and Coxswains meeting. My name's Sarah McAuliffe. I'm the Director of Events with U.S. Rowing. We have quite a few other people on this call, so I will let everyone introduce themselves as we go throughout the slides. But in short, we have the events team here, myself, Reggie Robinson, Paul Wilkins, and Jules Zane from the membership. Also from U.S. Rowing, we have Mike Zimmer and Will Daly from the national team side. From the LOC, we have Hillary and Chris. And then from the referee side, like I said, we have Nicola, we have Rachel, we have Barb Groot, and Hal Johnson. So to go over a quick schedule of what to expect when you get on site, no trailer arrivals before Tuesday, July 5th, and anyone that is arriving should be contacting the LOC for more instructions if it does need to be earlier. In regards to the U.S. Rowing registration tent, we will open on Tuesday, July 5th from 8 to 6. If you do have any last minute scratches or ads or lineup changes, we can take care of those questions there. That's also where you'll pick up your wristbands. So all athletes will be designated a wristband for this event. And you'll, like I said, be able to answer any questions, any last minute questions there. We'll go ahead and open on Wednesday and Thursday and Friday at 6 a.m. and be there until the end of racing. In regards to practice, we will have practice on Tuesday, July 5th from 9 till noon, and then again from 6 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. with last launch at 6:45 p.m. On Wednesday, we'll have practice 30 minutes after racing ends and along with Thursday as well, and those will go for an hour and a half. Launch docks will close 30 minutes before each practice session ends. And then finally, with heat sheets, we are getting ready to post those after this meeting. Two announcements with just the schedule. If you've sent us a request of allowing a little bit more time here and there for certain events due to doubling up, we will get to that request and see if we can make that possible for you all. Second note there too, if you are in a race with one boat entry, and we've talked to some of you at this point, but if you have a one boat entry race and you want to add into a different race, so we're not going to go ahead and scratch you, but if you want to add in to have some competition within that race, please email Paul Wilkins, so paul.wilkins@usrowing.org, and we can accommodate you into another race to ensure that you have that competition there. So to go over the U.S. Rowing Code of Conduct, so I'll just read the titles here. I won't go into all the detail, but you'll find this signage throughout the event. At U.S. Rowing, our mission is to champion participation in the passionate pursuit of excellence in rowing. To support this mission, we need to ensure rowing at all levels is fair, inclusive, competitive, and safe for all participants. Whether an athlete, coach, parent, vendor, staff, volunteer, or spectator at a U.S. Rowing event, you're a member of the U.S. Rowing community, and we invite you to enjoy this experience and expect you to abide by the following code of conduct. So covering topics such as safety and well-being, professionalism and integrity, and the boathouse is open to everyone. Non-compliance for any of these things is not an option here. A good summary of this all is just treat everyone with kindness at this event, and we want to ensure that this is a welcoming atmosphere for all. So if you do have any questions or you feel that somebody is not abiding by this code of conduct, please do come and let us know from the U.S. Rowing staff end, and we'd love to talk to you more about it. I'll go ahead and pass this off to Jules Zane, our Director of Membership, and he'll go over some safe sport needs.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. Starting on January 1 of this year, we introduced additional safe sport training requirements for athletes. That was the most important change. If you are an athlete age 18 or older, in order to be compliant for US Rowing owned or sanctioned regatta, you have to take the athlete training for adult athletes. So if you haven't done that yet, go into your profile at membership.usrowing.org. Log in with your member number and password and click Safe Sport in the menu bar on the left-hand side. Select the training for adult athletes. It should have a green icon and take about 30 minutes to complete. If you are a coach and you need your credential for doc access, we will check your training as well. For coaches and really anyone in a position of authority over anyone else, we require the NGB1 core training. That training takes 90 minutes, but if you have taken the training before, chances are that you are eligible for the annual refresher course, which takes less than half an hour. Again, you can see on your US Rowing profile now which training you have completed, or if you have any recently completed training. And if it says expired, or it says that no training was found, then certainly make sure that you take it. Because if you show up to the regatta and you're coming to get your wristband, or you're a coach coming to get wristband for athletes, and someone's not compliant with Safe Sport, unfortunately, we won't be able to give you that wristband until that person has arrived. If someone is a spectator or is in some other role where they're not in a position of authority or not in direct contact, and all their interactions are in a public setting, they just have to be aware of what the athlete abuse prevention policy would be, but no training is required. And then if you haven't registered any coaches who need doc access for launching a recovery, you can do so on Regatta Central. You can go to the regatta. Again, in the menu there is going to be a Safe Sport button. You click on it. If you are an administrator for a team and you have an entry, you can select the name of the team and then fill out the information for any person, including their member number, any person who needs a credential for doc access. And this is a quirk that we've discovered with quite a few people registering as unaffiliated, or the athletes registering. If you as an athlete have registered yourself or a boat for this event, you are the one who has to add your coach. It's about who created the entry. Your coach can't go in and then add themselves. So process doesn't really change, but you go back to Regatta Central, you look at the regatta, you hit that Safe Sport button, and then you select the name of your crew, or if you're unaffiliated, you add the name of the person, and then you let us know when you check in who your support staff will be, and we can have a band for them. So that's the way to add people. Certainly trying to make sure that on Tuesday no one's caught off guard by this. So please make sure that you log in and register coaches when you have time, because we have to create credentials for them to be Safe Sport compliant.
Thanks, Jules. I will go ahead and pass it off to our referees right now and start with Nick on the domestic side.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Good afternoon to everybody. Hope you're having a great 4th of July long weekend. And I'm really looking forward to meet you all in a couple of days at the beautiful Mercer Lake. So to go quickly over this first slide, the Nationals jury is going to have 23 refs. There'll be an additional 10 for the trials. And basically we're coming from all over the place. 135 plus, this plus is really huge of experience, because it's much more than 135, but anyway. So we are here to make sure that regatta is safe and fair. We'll try to be invisible and support you the best way we can. Next slide, please. So this is let's go through the traffic pattern for the regatta. So you probably don't see my pointer, but where you see that it's written boat storage at the bottom of this map, that's basically where most activity is going to happen. That's where the tents are, boat weigh-ins, athlete weigh-ins, and so on. So I apologize for not having a better map, but for the practice, basically we'll be launching from that area that says launch, just to the up and left from the boat storage. You can see like 4 little docks. And then you just have to follow the pattern that arrows are showing. The big red X in the warm-up area, that won't be used for the practice, because obviously you'll be warming up on the course. The lanes 1 to 3, so the low side, will be going from start to finish. 4 is going to be dead lane, where we're probably going to have a couple of launches, making sure that everybody is safe and following that traffic pattern. And then lanes 5 and 7 through 7 will be lanes finish to start. Please make sure that you those traffic patterns are going to be published also at the course. It's easy to follow them, and just make sure to know what you're to do during the practice racing and so on. Next slide, please. So for the time trials, basically the pattern is pretty much similar. The difference is that the warm-up area that is just close to the start is going to be used at that point. And then as you're called to start, there will be a marshal that will be directing you towards start. You'll be starting your race. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Tentatively, we are going to use lanes 3 and 4. However, there will be a fairness commission that's going to evaluate conditions on the course before the lines are confirmed. As you'll know, the timing starts at 100 meters, so the time trials are going to be 1900 meters races. Next slide, please. For the sprint racing, the traffic pattern is again very similar to what we just talked about, the time trials. The difference is going to be that we're going to use light system at the start. There'll be stake platforms, so you'll all lock. We'll go through some of the procedures later on, a couple of slides later, but really nothing more to say other than we'll be using 6 lanes, 7 when necessary. Yeah, next slide, please. So it is really your responsibility to know and understand the rules of rowing. Just a few comments. Equipment has to be certified in a way that it meets the rules of rowing. What we're going to focus on is safety, which means that your heel ties should not be longer than 3 inches, 7.5 centimeters, roughly, and that your bow balls are firmly fixed. Control Commission will be doing visual checks at the launch docks. At that time, obviously, we'll check that you're in the right race you need to be in, and so on. What I'd like to point out, please make sure that the bound numbers are taken from the U.S. Rowing Tent. Later on, there will be a slide with the course map, and the U.S. Rowing Tent is on that. It's very close to the bow weigh-ins and basically launching docks. But bound numbers are critical for us to be able to rightly place and time your race time. If you do have broken equipment, then please alert the nearest referee, and we will attempt to accommodate you. However, it is, again, your responsibility to be able to fix whatever is broken in your equipment. We're there just to help you, help with communication, call your coach is needed, and so on. Next slide, please. Okay, so there'll be a couple of exceptions to the U.S. rules of rowing. One is going to be boat weigh-ins, and that is stipulated in the entry packet that you all have. There is all information relevant to the weight of the boat and what can be attached to the boat, what is not considered attached to the boat. It is solely your responsibility to make sure that your boat meets or exceeds the weight that is shown in the entry package. This is one of the sore points in a lot of events that I've been part of, but it is so easy to avoid any misunderstandings. First of all, be aware that the weather will be changing, so humidity is going to change, all kinds of conditions are going to change. So do not try to split hair and go for ounces. Make sure that your boat has enough weight to pass the boat weighing. Scales will be open, so you can check outside of the competition. You can check the weight of your boat and make sure. And again, as I've said, it's so easy. And then you're safe, and you know that your boat is meeting these requirements. As far as athlete weigh-ins, there were some last-minute discussions which rules are going to be used. So that's why I put them in writing here in this presentation. So again, we're going to use the World Rowing, or as we used to call that organization until recently, FISA rules. So for the lightweight men, each boat must average 70 kilos, not more, and no individual rower can have more than 72.5 kilos. If you're used to do this in pounds, multiply this with 2.04 and you will get the pound weights for the average and for the maximum weight of the lightweight rower men. Lightweight women, same thing. Average has to be 57 kilograms or more, and no individual rower should have more than 59 kilograms. Coxswains that will be waiting in racing, weighed in racing uniform, minimum weight is 55 kilograms, and maximum dead load they can carry is 15 kilograms. Next slide, please. On the water, in general, a referee will give you an instruction, either addressing the coxswain or the boat seat has to acknowledge. Sometimes if the starting platform is such that the starter or the referees at the start cannot see the coxswain, they're going to ask the bow person, rower to acknowledge. So we just want to make sure that communication is okay and that you can hear us. Couple of things that are really important in addition to every other rule in the rules of rowing that you are supposed to understand and know. In the proximity to the course, if a race is in progress, you may not cross the course unless instructed or approved by the official or the marshal that will be controlling. In this case, where we are launching only from the Mercer side of the lake, there is really no reason under any circumstances to cross the course. But again, in case of emergency, you will still have to get the permission to do that. Pure safety. Do not, as you're approaching the start, after you are finishing warming up, please make sure not to obstruct the line where the aligners are aligning the boats that are about to start the race, or the following referees. Do not sit to the finish line, the same thing. Finish has to take order of finish, timing, and so on. So please don't, once your race is over, pass the finish line, and then you can take some rest and go to cool down if that's what you wish to do. No power strokes along the race course as the race is approaching you. You can probably do the power strokes in the warm-up area on the far side of the course. For the warm-up, we already talked about traffic pattern in case, so there won't be warm-up area only in case of the practice, but for the time trials and for the sprint racing, you will be able to warm up in the warm-up zone. And the crews that are warming up should stay as close as possible to the buoy line that is basically around which you will be circulating as you're warming up. For the time trial starts, you have to be in the starting area, and actually it's the rule for sprint racing as well. You have to be at the starting area at listening 5 minutes before your event time. The difference is in the sprint racing will be the starter will be informing you about 5, 4, 3, and so on, 2 minutes. There will be a series of referees helping you to get into the bow number order. Now we're talking about the time trials next to the start dock, and then you will be allowed to enter the lane that. I'm sorry, I'm just getting some messages at the moment. Then you will be allowed to enter the lanes. So we'll have odd and even numbers in the two different lanes. The 20 seconds between each start, so that will give about 40 seconds space time between the two boats that are in the same lane. Breaker zone is 100 meters, roughly 20 seconds into the race. And the referee will be staged along the course to make sure that the time trials are conducted in a safe manner and assist where necessary. If you have an objection at the end of the race during the time trials, please speak to the marshal who will be in the finish zone behind the finish line. Next slide, please. Can we have, thank you. For the sprint starts, the starter will allow you to enter the course, and your lanes will already be assigned. But he will allow, if time allows, he will allow you to warm up in your lane also. If you have to when you're in your lane, that's a protected water, that's your water. So everything you need to do, you have to do it within that lane. So if you're turning your boat, please stay within your lane. When the starter says, so the starter will inform you about 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes. When he says 2 minutes, you have to be locked on. That doesn't mean that you're approaching. You have to be, your boat has to be handled by the stake platform person. So that's 2 minutes. Again, I don't need to remind you, but failure to be locked is a warning, and we hope that we don't have to issue a single one, because the easiest thing to do is be there on time. It's much tougher to row than be there on time. The race can start anytime after 2 minutes. That's why we want everybody to be, so once everybody's aligned, starters will start the race. We will always try to do it as close as possible to the event starting time. So the start is we're going to use the light system. So the crews are going to be poled, if weather permitting, in a steady cadence. And after the attention, the red light will be turned on. There will be a cadence, and then simultaneously horn the green light will signal the start of the race. If something happens so that the start is interrupted, you will hear the starter saying, "Yes, you were," and lights will be reset, and the whole procedure will be repeated. If you are not ready, you should just sit still and not leave the starting platform. Once you leave the starting platform, you acknowledge that you are ready and that the start was fair. If you leave the start, as I said, you accepted the start, and you cannot object it anymore. Already mentioned, breaker zone is 100 meters. If the weather is not permitting polling, like in case there is a side wind or any other reason, the starter might choose to do a quick start, in which case he's going to inform you that he'll be using the quick start. He will call attention, and then after that, the horn and the lights will go simultaneously. Crews will not be polled, and in case of quick starts, hands would not be recognized. Next slide, please. So you'll be followed by officials on the water that will make sure that the race is safe and fair. At the finish, as you cross the finish line, you will see a horn. There will be also an orange flag that will be going up and down, but it's probably easier to hear the horn than to look for the flag. There will also be orange buoys, so make sure that you cross the finish line before you stop rowing. If you have an objection, then you have to raise your hand and inform the official in the water what the objection is about. If there is a question of fairness or another issue, please just have one person raise their hand and talk to the referee. Be sure that you know why are you raising your hand and why you are raising this issue. After the conversation, the referee will give you his or her opinion on how they see the event and the issue that you're objecting about. But even if you're not convinced with that, then you should let the referee know that you're planning to submit the protest, in which case the race times, order of finish, and so on is not going to be official until that protest is not resolved. The procedure how to do that, check of $50 and so on, that's all in the rule book. Next slide, please. Unsportsmanlike conduct, among other things, profanities in general are not considered sportsmanlike. You may use to motivate. They should never be directed to another crew. They should never be directed even to your own crew members. And please watch that, because in extreme circumstances, unsportsmanlike conduct is ground for exclusion. Next slide, please. Sarah, am I talking about the evacuation plan? I can. I mean, we hit. Are you unmuted?
Yep, I'm unmuted. Chris and Hillary are on too and have expertise there, so we could pass it over if you'd like.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, everybody, and looking forward to see you in a couple of days. Have a nice 4th.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Sarah. This is Chris Groot. I'm with the Princeton National Rowing Association. In the case we do have an emergency situation on the water, and we have to evacuate the water, the ideal thing that we would like to try, if we have enough time, is to bring everybody into the launch and recovery docks. And we would change all the docks to inbound docks so that all the boats would be evacuated. And so that as coaches, you will know where your athletes are and they will be there. If for some reason we don't have enough time, then we may bring some athletes into the Casperson Rowing Center on the other side, and use that facility also. Unfortunately, there's no place in the top half of the course that we can bring people in, so we really have to bring people down to that the launch and recovery docks, which are about 1,300 meters into the course. If we do have to evacuate because of a thunderstorm, I think it's very important so people understand we will have tents on site, but none of them are grounded or set up for lightning. So if we do have lightning in the area, we need to ask you to either go to the marina building or into your vehicles, which are probably the safest place for you to be, but not to hang around underneath the tents or underneath the trees or next to your trailers. I think that's covers it pretty quickly. As far as safety on the venue, we will have EMTs and medical technicians. They will be located in the parking lot near the US Rowing registration tent, just up the hill from the return docks. If you have any medical emergencies or medical issues, please go to them. They will also have a mule, a vehicle that will be able to go to anywhere in the trailer storage, boat storage area. And then they will be able to respond to things coming off the water too. If you do need medical assistance while you're on the water, please flag down the nearest official for assistance and they will assist you and then coordinate with the medical personnel, the EMTs. As I mentioned, in the case of a thunderstorm, please go to your vehicles or the marina building. The tents and trees are not safe spots for lightning. Next slide. Hillary, do you want to take these?
Sure. Thanks. And hi, everyone. I'm Hillary with the LOC. This just describes where all of the different tents are on the venue. Everything is going to be based in that trailer field. All of the tents will have the boat weigh-in tent. That's number one in the grass, but along the parking lot area. And you can test your boat weight on Tuesday. The U.S. Rowing registration tent is number two. It's just right in front of the boat weigh-in tent. The vendor N&D will be number three. The athlete weigh-in area and where the referee headquarters, there's no tent, but number four is where you will go for athlete weigh-in. It's the Marina Garage Bay, the lower level of the Marina boathouse in the garage, which will be open. That's where athlete weigh-in will take place. We'll have the athlete wellness tent will be in the trailer field number 5, sort of off to the side a little bit. Medical, as Chris described, will be number 6, up right up from the recovery docks near the parking lot. And then the awards stage will be number 7 at the back end of the field up by the volleyball courts there. And as you can see, we are not utilizing any of the spectator area that by the finish line, that if you are familiar with the Mercer Lake venue, that is, there are no tents there, there's no registration there. It is the finish line tower, and that's pretty much it. So any tents that you would like to put up, you can put them up by your trailer. But we're keeping everything out of that area. I think that's it for this slide. So again, as I mentioned, we're not using the big grass field for parking. For all spectator parking, all athlete parking, all coach parking will be in the Marina parking lot or in the West Picnic parking lot. And that's marked out. It's called West Picnic. So as you're driving in, you can park in the West Picnic lot, and you cannot park in the boat storage field if you have a car, if you're car topping. So you need to go into the actual paved parking lot if you're car topping a boat. And then you can set up slings in the field to drop off your boat. If you have a trailer and you have a tow vehicle, clearly you can drive the tow vehicle in, unhitch, and then you can park in the paved lot, park your tow vehicle in the paved lot, but you can't go in and out of the grass field. So you can either leave the tow vehicle hitched the whole time you're there, or you can unhitch and park it in the parking lot next to the field. We are not having any parking at all. No spectator, no coach, no athlete parking in the grass field by the finish line. It's called the cricket pitch. We'll have that blocked off. So that's going to be blocked off from all parking. And as I mentioned, if you would like to have a tent, you can put it up by your trailer or by your boat area in the grassy boat storage field. No tents at the finish line for this regatta. That's it for that slide. And then this just is an overview of the places you can and cannot park. Hopefully it's pretty clear. There's the boat storage, big grass field where the boats go, and you can park right next to that in the paved parking lot. The other green, you can sort of see it says West Picnic Regatta parking that's to the left, that green rectangle, that's West Picnic. And there's no parking at the finish line, no parking in the cricket pitch, which is where we do normally have parking for our regattas. We are not having parking for this one. I think that's it. I'll hand it off to someone else.
Thanks,
Hey,
Al.
I'll jump in for a minute. This is Mike Zimmer. So just want to mention a few things about the trials element to this. First off, the trials are one element of the entire overarching regatta, Summer Nationals. So all the progressions and major questions should go to Sarah, and should be dictated by the Summer Nationals programming. But there are still some specific trials elements to it. The number one is that trials winners are reminded to go to the registration tent immediately following their racing to complete any necessary paperwork. And Will Daly, who's also on the call, and Wendy Wilbur, who is on this, will be the ones to help you with processing. If you have questions about compliance, you want to, that's on the next slide, actually. So if you can flip over to that one. Thanks. Oh, sorry, we'll go back to the other one. Nope. One more, sorry, go forward one. Perfect, leave it there. Oh. Who's running the slides? Well, anyway, Wendy will be your point of contact for compliance. Will or I will be point of contact for general trials questions. We do have a couple specific trials elements that you should be aware of. Alex, I saw you ask the question about the weigh-ins. The entire event is running under World Rowing weigh-in policy, which again, we can stress is that once the weigh-in window opens for a specific event, if that event is subsequently changed to a later time, that weigh-in window does not move. So if your lightweight race starts at 11 o'clock and your weigh-in window has opened at 9 o'clock and you've started weighing in, and then subsequently there's a thunderstorm delay at let's say 9:50, that weigh-in window does not move with the event shifting. That's one of the key elements to the differences between the U.S. rowing weigh-in policies and the world rowing weigh-in policies. And that's important to keep in mind, that there isn't a sort of second chance catch-up weigh-in window if the event moves subsequent to the weigh-in window opening.
Mike, before you go on, another key difference is that you're allowed as many times to step on the scale as necessary within the 1 hour, 2 hour window.
Thank you, Rachel. Yep, that's also pertinent. But the entire event is run by that. So those weigh-in questions can go to Sarah and or Jules, and so there is no difference really between the trials weigh-in window, the trials weigh-in rules and the event weigh-in rules. That was really to answer Alex's question about that. Can we get the next slide here? So I'm going to let Rachel talk about Misadventure because it is a specific set of trials rules that only apply in the trials events, and it's most important for the time trials. The sprint racing Misadventure will be called by the official following it, but Rachel will explain the way that it impacts you if you're in time trials. The final note there on this slide is there are specific approved electronic devices that are available to be used and that can be used, and that is posted. Where did we post that? I think we posted it in the chat.
I'll go ahead and put it in the chat right now.
Thank you, Sarah. That you may use in the trials events. If you have other things that are not on this list, you may not use them, specifically smart oars, Empower oar locks, things like that. So could I have the next slide?
Did you want me to go over this now, Mike, while it's?
Not quite yet, Rachel. I just want to run through this and then turn it back over to you, and then you can finish it. So
Okay.
here are your contacts for the trials side of it. For general questions, you can hit me or Will with it. For compliance questions, please ask Wendy. If you have an issue during the trials portions and you want to talk to one of the athlete reps as opposed to me, Will, Wendy, Rachel, Sarah, Jules, Nick, any of us, and you're welcome to do that. These are your athlete reps, Brooke Mooney, Molly Brueggemann, and Vicky Opitz. And you should feel free to email them. They'll be on site as well. So you can grab them and ask them a question if you've got a question about like, hey, why did this happen this way? Often they can explain it to you very clearly and quickly. But if it's not satisfactory, they can escalate it to us and we can get you the answer. So I'm going to kick it to Rachel now for a moment, and she's going to explain a little bit more about some of the trial specific stuff.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mike. If we could go back to that slide that lists out some key topics. One back one, there we go. Nope, somehow my slide is gone. Maybe just go a forward one. There we go. To this list, we're also going to add in breakage and weigh-ins. And so I just want to make sure that we talk about those. So first of all, what I'm about to talk about is only applicable to the trials events that are taking place. So misadventure during time trials is unique in that if you believe you have suffered misadventure during your time trial, you are to pull off, get out of the way, pull off the course, and signal to a referee that will be alongside the course and explain what the situation is that you believe has caused the misadventure. The referee will then make a decision upon whether it is misadventure or not. That may entitle conferring with me, with Will, and that type of thing. So if that happens, we then make a decision at that point whether we will return you to the starting area and do a rerow after a suitable interval has taken place, but not later than 1 hour after convening their decision. So if we make a decision not more than 1 hour later, you'll be allowed to go and do a rerow. If it's broken equipment or something along those lines, we have to correct an incident, then we'll take you back to the dock. And again, we'll do a rerow no later than 1 hour after returning to the dock. Again, I have the ability, along with Will, to make exceptions to that timing. But again, we try to stay as much as we can within all those timing windows. If you decide to finish your time trial, even though you believe you've suffered a misadventure, unfortunately, if you do not stop and pull off at the time you believe you have suffered misadventure and you finish your time trial, we are unable to make a ruling at that point. So you cannot claim misadventure at the finish. And that really is kind of what goes on with misadventure during time trials. I'd like to take any specific questions right now as it relates to misadventure during time trials before I move on to misadventure and sprint racing. And if you want to unmute yourself, I'm not sure if they can unmute themselves or not.
There's nothing there right now, Rachel, but I can jump in if something does come through.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so then we're going to talk about misadventure and sprint racing. If during your race, the referee following the race believes that misadventure has occurred to boats that are in contention, this is an incredibly important point here. If a boat is in contention and something happens that the referee believes that there is misadventure, they may stop the race and at that point make a ruling of kind of what is going on there. And then after a suitable interval has passed, we will do a rerow of that particular event. So again, you have to be in contention for misadventure to be applicable. Misadventure can be a number of things. I can tell you it is not bad rowing. So if something is just flat out bad rowing, then misadventure is not applicable. If you're rowing down the race course and you're in contention and your oar breaks, that is something that is going to be deemed as misadventure. We will stop the race and then do a rerow again after a suitable interval has passed. Want to talk about breakage. This is a specific difference from what was presented in the slides earlier for non-trials events. For trials events, there is no breakage zone in the 100 meters. That is one of the reasons why our misadventure rule exists. But again, I want to be clear for those that are in the trials events, there is no 100-meter breakage zone at the start. Again, I want to move to weigh-ins very briefly. Mike did a great job of covering it. We are using FISA or World Rowing rules as it relates to weigh-ins. A couple things with that. Yes, we are using the weights that Nicola discussed earlier for athletes. The weigh-in window, the 1 hour, 2 hour is very important. You can weigh in as many times as you need to within your window. And there was a question in the chat, I believe, about coxswains. Now that's not going to be in the trials events. And I don't know if Sarah, you want to address that, or Jules wants to address it, but essentially the rule is very specific. Coxswains are the same weight for men and women. Okay, there's no difference in weight between whether you're a coxswain for a men's boat or a coxswain for a women's boat. It's the same weight, and the minimum weight still applies, no more than 15 kilograms if you need to get weight. Go ahead, Nicola.
No, finish what you were talking. I just wanted to address a few more things
Okay.
when you're done.
Right, so hopefully that answers the question related to coxswain weights. And again, because we're following the FISA, or excuse me, it has to get into my vocabulary here, the World Rowing Rules of Racing. We will not be adjusting weigh-in windows. There will not be another weigh-in window for a coxswain that misses their weigh-ins. That's things like that are allowed, or there's things that can happen under U.S. rowing rules related to coxswain weigh-ins. That is not what will be applied. So make sure you are familiar, especially those of you with coxswains, with what those rules are. And we will be weighing boats for trials. And yes, there will be an opportunity to test weigh your boats. I'm not sure if those times were posted yet, Sarah, or will when those are available. And is there anything you wanted to address specifically as it relates to certain boats and their weigh-in procedure?
So the boat weighings will be open whenever practice is available. When racing is taking place, boat weigh-ins should only be reserved for boats who are being pulled to be weighed by referees. On Wednesday afternoon, there will be an opportunity for any PR boats rowing out of the Casperson side of the race course to test weigh their boats then.
And where will that weigh-in take place, Will?
That will take place on the Casperson side of the boathouse.
Perfect.
Lake, sorry.
Perfect, thanks. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is, again, we've already put in the approved electronic device. So I think that was well covered. And Sarah posted in the chat where you can go find the approved and not allowed devices. And there's some good pictures there. Please make sure if you're a trials boat and you're selected for weigh-in that there, not only for racing, that there are no improper oar locks on your boats. That would be a real shame if you accidentally forgot and then we see it. It has all kinds of implications. So please make sure that you are using regular oar locks and not empower those oar locks. I think that's it for me. Are there any trial specific questions that have come up, Sarah Wall?
Nope, there's nothing in the chat currently.
Okay,
Good
so
job.
again, thank you everyone. I'm looking forward to seeing you. I will be on site starting Tuesday for the afternoon practice. Unfortunately, I'm unable to be there during the morning session. So if any questions come up, you can track me down during that 6 to 7 p.m. window of time. Thanks again, everybody.
Thanks, Rachel.
Okay. Just a couple of notes. So Tuesday, the PM practice session, between 6 and 7:30. Is that correct, Sarah? We'll be testing the light system, the start. So if any crew that is not familiar with the system and wants to do a test, we'll need volunteers anyway. So we can do it then. Also, just looking through the questions. Scales, it was addressed. So boat weighting during the practice sessions, and I believe that there are also test scales for the athletes that are identical to the ones that are used for the weigh-ins. Is that correct, Sarah?
Yep, we'll have those
That will be
available.
in the area, so you can test your weight whenever it's needed. Are we waiting all boats or just the trial events? All boats. So for the time trials, we'll be selecting one boat from the event to be weighted, and then for the sprint races, we'll be definitely checking the winners, and then maybe a couple of boats that are medaling as well. Are we using the horn system? Will there be an opportunity to practice? Okay, we just answered that. So Tuesday PM practice session, we'll check the lights. I don't know, Sarah, are we emailing the presentation to the attendees?
Yep, so this is being recorded. We'll go ahead and post this on YouTube, and we'll link it to Regatta Central along with the PowerPoint slides here. And we will incorporate the communication device link into that slide. One more question on here, just more housekeeping. Will ergs be available for warming up? We will not provide ergs, so if you do want to bring an erg, that is strongly recommended there. And then Nicola, do you want to go over these hand questions?
Where are they?
Yep.
Are they in the chat or Q&A?
It's in Q&A. It says, is it only quick starts that hands are not recognized? I thought hands were not recognized at all.
No, they're not recognized also during the regular start. Start to make sure that all the crews are ready and properly aligned. We won't start polling before everybody is not ready. So focus on
The defense.
sorry. So focus on your race, focus on your point, and the referees will make sure that you're properly aligned and that you're ready.
Awesome, thank you. And just to clarify, so the scales will be available starting the first practice session on Tuesday. So not just the afternoon session. The PM session was noted that that's when the start system lights will be available to test. Test scales will be available starting at 9 a.m. on Tuesday. And then one more question for you, Nick. Quick start still.
Yeah.
Using
Yes, we went through that. So basically the only difference between quick start and the polling start is there will not be polling. But everything is, so attention, red light, green light.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, it looks like that is the end of our questions currently. We'll hang tight for just a second. One more thing from me. So you see this on the screen, join our texting service. If you have not already, go ahead and text Summer Nationals to this number. We'll post or we'll send out all weather updates, schedule updates, anything that is going on regarding the event. We'll also post all these announcements to Regatta Central immediately after we send them out via text. So this is the first place that you will hear about it. So please join us there.
And then Sarah, I'd like Chris or Hillary to address this last question that's popped up about the Tuesday afternoon and why it is so short in terms of the practice time.
I think the question was not that the practice time is short. It was there won't be enough time for the boat weights and testing the light.
There's an additional question.
Oh, sorry, I haven't seen that.
Why are the practice hours on Tuesday afternoon so short? Can they be started sooner? So
We can't start any earlier. There's some kayak and paddle boat rentals going out and we can't be on the water at the same time. So we can't start any earlier than 6.
Thanks, Hillary.
One more question for time trials. What is the start sequence? Is it, well, actually, I think for both for nationals and for the national team time trials, once you are sent into your lane, you have 100 meters to maximize your speed, and then there will be a referee that will basically, are we using horn that the timing is starting?
No. There will
We'll
not
just
be a horn.
start. We'll just start at the 100 meters. We'll start your timing.
Yeah, there's a buoy color change at 100 meters. You're responsible for knowing when you've crossed the 100-meter line.
Right.
Is it from red to yellow?
Should be what, well.
Yes, it's red.
Yes, it's
to yellow.
red to yellow.
Okay.
Okay.
And then if I could read into that, what is the start sequence for time trials? I think the Nicola did a great job of discussing getting in there, but if you're talking about, just follow the schedule, right? The posted schedule. So whatever event is first, right? You're gonna go in bound number order.
Awesome. I think that closes them out. So we will go ahead and post this again for recordings. If you have any questions, please do let us know, but otherwise we will see you all on Tuesday. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.